And joining me now is Jonathan Dekel-Chen, the father of Sagui Dekel-Chen, who was taken captive by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. Thank you so much for being with us and participating here. The possibility of a deal that could see the return of the hostages seems more real than it has in a long time. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling that this is the time that Benjamin Netanyahu needs to prove to the people of Israel, not just the hostage families, and to history, that he is not going to abandon the hostages for a second or perhaps even a third time since October 7th. It's something that he needs to prove to us. It really doesn't matter what I or any other hostage parent or son or daughter feels. It is clearly the last possible moment for returning hostages, those of whom who still may be alive and those who have already been murdered. It is utterly outrageous, if the report is correct, that our prime minister says that they are not suffering and they are not dying. From my kibbutz alone, kibbutz Nir Oz, from which there are still 35 hostages remaining, we know of no less than five hostages who were alive on October 8th and died, some of them rather recently, while in Hamas captivity. It is baseless, it is outrageous, and it's inhuman that he would make such a statement.
Right. I know that you were away on October 7th when it happened, but we do know that your son was one of the first ones to sound the alarm. What more do you know about what happened to him that day?
Well, he was one of 79 hostages taken from Kibbutz Nir Oz, a community of a little over 400. And that is aside from over 50 of our kibbutz people who were murdered that day. So utter abandonment by the government and our military. That is the story of the day. Sagui, like many other young and not so young men on the kibbutz that morning, did what they could to fight off what turned out to be an enormous number of Nukhba terrorists, Hamas terrorists, and looters. And so of those who tried to defend our home, their families, none of them, unfortunately, are alive or free today.
Jonathan, when you lay down your head on the pillow tonight, are you hopeful that this deal will actually come through now?
There's no way for me to know the answer to that question. I know that I'm sure all of the hostage families would agree that we will not rest until all of the hostages are home, until our own government has fulfilled its promise, not to us, because there's been almost no communication between the government and hostage families, rather to the very purpose of Israel, which is to defend Jews, to defend them and to defend our civilians. There was an utter catastrophe on October 7th. Our government will not have done its job until all of the 120 remaining hostages are back home. There can be no more excuses. There can be no more fantasies about military action being the only way in which the hostages will be returned. There's no proof of concept that that is true, and the country is tired. Our country is tired of hearing these excuses that are all based on small-headed coalition politics within Israel. Hamas is at the table. It is incumbent upon Israel to complete the deal now.